Step into the Carnivor Cornor, where we act a bit more like established gentlemen. But an established gentleman who's proud to drink his wine with a juicy burger or a bone-in ribeye fresh off the barbecue.
And you're the, perfect person to be here. You're the guy with the most amount of winnings on the tour.
That's a fact. All-time money leader for sure.
And that's where it counts.
Exactly. Right? That's how we keep score.
Yes. Welcome, Kid Poker, everybody. Thank you for being here. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah. Just excited to check out the premiere tonight.
Yeah, very exciting. You got the big documentary. You worked on it with PokerStars, PokerStars.net, and I want to get into that in a moment because what an exciting thing to watch your life go on screen. And you're a pretty young guy. It's not like you're doing this at the age of 80. You're doing it at the age of, is it 40 or 41?
Yeah, but I'm going with 26 for life, Peter Pan style.
Yeah, I like that. Just don't try and jump off any buildings. You can't fly. Yeah. Daniel, man, it is awesome. You know, you get into the world of poker right at sort of its peak as a very young guy. You drop out of high school. By the way, we went to the same high school.
No way.
Yes, we did.
Which one was that? A.Y. Jackson?
A.Y. Jackson.
No kidding. How old are you?
So I'm 42, born in 73. Also like to think I'm 26.
So I must have you in my yearbook then.
So I brought a yearbook here. And I don't know if I actually don't know if you're in this. Are you in this yearbook?
I gotta be in that. I have that yearbook.
Okay,
this is crazy.
Jay, pass Daniel the yearbook. I found a yearbook. It was so wild. I literally found a yearbook a couple of days ago out of nowhere. I found it in an old box. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, when am I ever going to use this? And then I find out I have Daniel in the program. And it's absolutely perfect thinking. And I didn't even look because I wanted to see if this was the years. I thought maybe this might prove how you did drop out of high school. if you're not in it.
I might be briefly in this one. I think this was the tail end of my days at school. Most of the time was at the pool hall.
Yes, sir. Now this is going to sound local, especially here on SiriusXM, where we speak not only to Toronto, but everywhere. But Daniel, did you hang out at the Pickle Barrel Plaza?
I did. I played at Studio Billiards. Pardon me, Palace Club Billiards.
Palace Club Billiards.
Yeah, right downstairs there.
That was your home base.
I spent a lot of time there. That was before my poker career got started, really. Was just playing pool over there, playing snooker, trying to win $5 off a guy, And then, through that, I met some guys who played poker, and it went from there.
So what a fascinating thing, because that's sort of what led you into the world of gambling. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Actually, people don't realize this because if you live here in Toronto, but Toronto's kind of like a gambling mecca. It's a gambling breeding ground. You got Proline, you go to the games, you got the 50-50 draw, you got lottos, you got all this kind of stuff. So it was very easy to get, enveloped in that world.
I didn't realize that, and that was kind of like my question. How does one go, oh, you know what? I got a talent for this game, for this gambling, for poker, for hold'em, and back to it. So what would your first experience have been playing, and at what age would you have been doing it at?
I'd say I was about 17 years old, really, and it just came down to we were playing pool, and these guys said, hey, we're going to play poker. So we got a 6-pack of beer. I brought my $10, played all these crazy wild card games, lost my money. I'm like, okay, that was fun, but this is a stupid game. And then we started to do it more often, and I kept noticing, the same guys keep winning, right? And then I realized, oh, this is not luck. This is a game of skill. So now I was into it because I'm a competitive guy, and I wasn't going to let them take my money. So I started to play more and more and start to study the game a little bit.
And Daniel, you say that it's a game of skill, and as much as a lot of us laymen here just love to play it and stuff. I see people in my world, I always saw you're right, one or two people winning, but I couldn't figure out what that skill was. You can study this craft then, that's a big part of it. It's not that you're just a psychic or something.
Totally. So there's there's several aspects of becoming a good player, right? Number one is the easy part. It's learning the fundamentals. You can learn that in a book. Okay, so what are the odds of this? What are the odds of that? You can just learn that stuff like you would you studying anything in school. Then the discipline to make sure that you're doing the right thing, so you don't get bored and say, oh, I have a jack and a 6, I feel like playing. You just stick to the system. But the most important part is the third trait, which is psychological aspect, understanding how people think, and more importantly, how they perceive you. What do they think you do? So if I played with you and I thought oh, he thinks I bluff all the time. Well, I'm never going to bluff you. I'm just going to play, straight. Or if I thought you think, well, he's not going to ever bluff, then I'm going to bluff you. But that's my job to figure that out.
Well, it's watching you in this run you've been on for the last 2 decades. It is fascinating because it's the emotion that one gets out of watching poker is emotion you see written in a movie. Like there's so much drama, there's so many extremes that it can switch so momentarily when the odds are stacked up against you. And I remember a couple of matches where it's like, you would look at, they call them do they call them matches? What do they call them?
Whatever. You can go with matches, it's fine.
And it's exactly that, where you would call people out on what they had, and it fucks them up, and they had it. So it's like you play the other player just as much as you play your own cards, and also then try and figure out what they're thinking about you.
I love to play the game of psychological warfare, right? So if I'm playing with you and I look at you and I go, you have king 9, don't you, right? The rest of the day, you're going to be deathly afraid. I mean, you'll be intimidated, like, what the hell, man? This guy knows what I have. So what that'll do is it'll make you more timid and careful against me, which is exactly what I'm trying to create when I do that. Because there's no reason for me to tell him I know what he's got, but it's intimidation thing.
And then you can bully them, which is really where the success comes in.
Now he's going to be off his kilter. He thinks he's playing great, and I'm like, you got king queen, don't you? He's like, oh shoot, he knows what I have. So it just makes it harder to play against a guy like that.
Do you get sick of talking cards all the time? Like, does it drive you crazy? Everyone must see and want to know the tricks and the trades. It's like being a Dragon's Den or Shark Tank guy. Everyone wants to give him a pitch. Everyone wants to learn the game from you. Does that at some point go, fuck, I made a great career out of this and I would continue to do so, but like, leave me alone already. Let's talk sports or something.
No, it's fine. It's just like when people ask for like, so what's the secret? Like, how do you do it? What's the secret? And as if that one like phrase that I'm going to give them is going to make them millions of dollars, right? Yeah. Like, you have to keep your expectations to a minimum, right? I can give you little tips here and there, but to be good, there's no substitute for actually putting in the work and playing.
And in the trailer that I saw for Kid Poker, and it airs on the 1st on TSN at 8:30, TSN 4. Make sure you check out this much anticipated documentary again called Kid Poker, chronicling the life right here of the gentleman who sits right in front of us, Daniel Negreanu. I didn't realize what I saw in the trailer. You actually lost everything at one point very early on.
It's not quite correct. No. I lost it many times.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like, on my way to be successful, I went broke probably 20 times, and I had to learn those lessons, and I wouldn't change anything about it. I made bad decisions, but that taught me that, okay, you can't do that. So if you have a $1,500 bankroll, don't play in a game where it's all riding on the line at one time. But when you're young, you feel invincible. You're not going to, I can do this. I can beat these guys, right? But the key was really going to Vegas, feeling like I was hot shit, and I knew everything, and then realizing that these sharks have seen hometown heroes come and go, and they kind of scoffed. The one moment I remember was playing with like 7 people for 24 hours, right? I quit. I went broke, went to the bathroom, washed my hands, came back. They were all gone. So in that moment, I knew like I was the sucker. They were only playing because of me, and I was furious.
Oh,
I remember
my
that.
goodness.
I'm like, I remembered every one of their faces, and I'm thinking, I'm going to come back and bust all of you.
And have you? Did you?
Well, what ended up happening, there was one guy in that game, Hawaiian Bill was his name.
Okay.
And Hawaiian Bill, actually, I looked at him as a mentor eventually, because I'm like, wow, this guy's cool. But like at the moment when I lost all my money, I was furious with all of them.
So back to sort of that layman aspect of it. I watch it. I watched Rounders. All that kind of stuff. Like that. Like they look for people. They look for suckers. They look for guys they can grab the quick money. And is that considered collusion though? Really, or is that just sort of how the game works?
Well, I mean, that's essentially like one of the aspects of being a professional poker player is finding games you could beat, right? So if you're the 6th best poker player in the world, but you're playing with the other 5, you're the sucker.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea of being a professional poker player is you have to gauge, okay, is this game good enough? Am I going to make money out of it? So that's going to require some recreational players a lot of time. And if they're none, and there's 5 pros, they look at each other and go, you know what? This game's not worth a damn. I'm not going to play.
It's exactly like Brody plays football with 8-year-olds. Like,
World champion.
Yeah.
Largest 8-year-old according to Guinness Book of Records, too.
Hey, what's up? I'm Roddy. Subscribe to our channel. You're going to love it. For the rest of this episode, you got to check out our podcast online on the website. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed.